So let's talk about something which various people have been asking me in different ways. Uh, and I'll probably start with the questions, which is like the first is, what should I do in life which will give me fulfillment, uh, which will give me joy and meaning? And then comes the other question around it, that can I really pursue this? Can I really do this right now? Um, what about the opportunities available for me? Because I need to earn a livelihood, and sometimes, or I have other responsibilities, and sometimes the other thing is that I I don't have a problem with responsibilities and finances. I have a lot of time, but I really don't have opportunities. Okay, so these are like three things which are kind of interconnect to each other. So uh, perhaps if I were to give a sort of a title to this talk, it would be, perhaps if I were to say it in a simple language, is finding my purpose or finding my passion and uh, actualizing my full potential. So everyone wants to find what their true self passion is and then actualize your full potential. And I relate really very, I mean, whatever I can talk, I would probably talk from experience, because uh, being a chartered accountant once upon a time and now teaching spirituality and Vedanta, it's been a long journey for me also. And I don't know whether I have actualized my full potential, and I really don't know even what my full potential is. But I feel I am whatever I'm doing now is a joyful expression. It comes very naturally to me. It's very spontaneous for me. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have to get up and I have to now write an article or I have to now do classes or I have to record it. It's no longer that anymore. So, um, so let me talk a little bit about this, and uh, we'll divide that probably into three parts. What is my passion? So the second would be, um, what can I do to move closer towards my passion? And then we can talk about this thing about actualizing our potential, and because all the three are in a way related. So the first thing, uh, I think I will probably talk about is what is not natural to us. And what do I why I want to talk about what is not natural to us? Because what our passion is essentially something that is natural to us. It comes very easily to us. It's not an effort. It is not like I have to do a job. I have to get up in the morning and then I have to do this. Like, supposing if your passion, or, and I don't really like the word passion actually. I think the word that I really like is your natural self-expression. Like, if your natural self-expression is to cook. Cook as in not cook like maybe you just love cooking, I'm just saying. Or your natural self-expression is to love work with the earth, maybe gardening, landscaping. Maybe your natural self-expression is to write. Maybe your natural self-expression is to teach yoga. Maybe your natural self-expression is, um, I have no clue. There's so many natural self-expressions. To dance. Uh, so many people like have different ways of expressing themselves. And why it's called natural self-expression is because when you're doing it, and these are the three things which are really important for you to identify what your natural self-expression is. And I've often said that in my classes earlier. Uh, the first thing is, when you're doing this, you lose a sense of time and space, which means you lose yourself. Actually, that's the right word. You have to even say you become so absorbed that you are totally lost in that activity is also not a good expression, because there is no you. When you lose a sense of time and space, you become there's a complete oneness. It's as though the universe is expressing itself through you. Mm. And many people have had these experiences when they're doing something creative, when they're in the dancing, when they are painting, when they are writing, when they are, whatever comes naturally to you, you lose a sense of complete time and space. The second thing is that when you do this, it energizes you, it fulfills you, it feels enriching. It doesn't deplete you. It's like you feel good while doing it, you feel good after doing it. It's not like work, I have to now go to work, I have to toil hard, I have to work hard, then I feel very tired, now I have to. When you're engaged in doing something which comes naturally to you, it really energizes you mentally, emotionally. And the third thing is that when you're doing this, it is something which comes very effortlessly and easily to you. Like if your natural self expression is to create art, it's almost like nature has gifted that expression to you, and that is what you do. Like for me, my natural self expression is definitely not making any kind of art. If I were to say what my natural self expression, it's to write, and my natural self expression is to teach. And the topics which naturally I'm inclined towards are philosophy and spirituality, and that's my natural self expression. It doesn't make me any special or better than anybody else. It is just, this is just like I often give an example. In existence, there is the rose flower, there is the lotus flower, there's the sunflower. Each flower is, and even in vegetation, there is the flower, there is a fruit, there are leaves. Everything is expressing itself naturally. The sunflower is not trying to become someone. It is, imagine that if the sunflower to went to a school and it said, look, there's no more demand for sunflowers in the market. In the market wants only roses. Then the sunflower will busy try to become a rose, because this is what the market is, because there is a career in becoming a rose, because there is more pain becoming a rose. Now the sunflower will lose touch with its natural self expression, its natural essence of being a sunflower and looking like a sunflower and smelling like a sunflower, and it will try to become like a rose. And that is pretty much what happens in our human conditioning, that when we go to our school and education, it doesn't so much focus. I don't know about alternative schools and what happens there, but at least the schooling that I have gone through, the focus is not so much on individual natural self expression. The focus has been more on conformity, on competition, in trying to fit into the system, trying to make maximum money, to have financial security, to do whatever we like, and pursue success. So that's what the natural self expression is. So, um, therefore, we lose touch with our natural essence. Mm. So, what we want to do is that we may not know what our natural self expression is, but when we do something, we at least know that this doesn't give me meaning. This doesn't give me joy. This doesn't give me fulfillment. Like when I did accountancy, I was pretty much a very miserable chartered accountant, because that's not what gave me meaning. That's not what really gave me any joy. That didn't give me much fulfillment. So, if I were to use terms which are from the yogic literature, then the term that I would use to explain or that comes closest to natural self-expression is Swabhava. Everything has its natural Swabhava, it has its natural self-expression. So when we are closest to our Swabhava, then we are doing what comes easily to us, what comes naturally to us. And from the word Swabhav, Swabhav means Swa means self, and Bhav means my natural essence, comes the word Swadharma, which means I'm doing my natural duty. And when I'm in alignment with my Swabhav and my Swadharma, then I feel a sense of connection with the universe, because then I'm expressing myself in a natural way. Whatever my Swabhav is, whatever my Swadharma is, it seems very, I think the right word is, when I'm doing something, it feels very authentic to me. I'm not being fake, because this is who I am. So when I'm authentic, it gives us feeling of deep enrichment. So the word Swabhav, the word Swadharma is very aligned to our natural self-expression. So because of our conditioning, because of our childhood, because we are all told to become successful, make money, nobody pays attention to what my natural self-expression is, what my Swabhav is, what my Swadharma is. And then everyone wants to get a degree, everyone wants to get a job, everyone wants to make more money. uh, the focus is no longer on loyalty towards self and my authenticity and self expression. The loyalty is more towards external rewards, social recognition, financial security, what others are doing, competing, trying to become the best. And that's why I'm no longer in my natural self expression. And only quite often when we then get into the world, like, I was really very thrilled when I became a chartered accountant. I said, like, oh wow, now life is made. Now I have a nice salary, I have a good job in a multinational corporation and all that. Until I started doing that work, I realized this doesn't give me any meaning. This doesn't give me any joy. And as it is, the corporate world has its own system, which is sometimes very difficult for most people to also fit into that system, because it's all about hierarchy, it's all about power, it's all about moving up the corporate ladder. That's the space is not so much for creativity and natural self-expression. Not that I'm saying it's not possible, but sometimes become difficult in an organizational setup. So only when we then moving in the direction towards success, then we realize this is not giving me fulfillment. And then most of us, like, then we begin our search. Okay, what will give me fulfillment? What is it that I want to do? And then it becomes a little difficult. Now, this is the second part of. So first is, there is something called natural self-expression, and the other part is that we lose touch with the natural self-expression because of our conditioning. And only when we start doing something which is not in alignment with our natural self-expression, which is Swabhav and Sadharma, we realize this is not giving me fulfillment. And then we try to now seek and find what is it that I'm passionate. And then the question comes, what is my true passion? What is it that I really want to do? What will give me? And I've known so many people who have been in the corporate world and done various things. And like, I know a IT consultant from Hyderabad who is now making dosas in Dharamkot. I know a software programmer in New York who is now teaching yoga. I know, I mean, I can give innumerable examples of such people. Not that I'm saying everyone is dissatisfied and it's a journey, but I'm just the purpose of this session or this video is to find our natural self-expression. So once we realize this is not giving me joy and meaning, then comes the challenge of now finding what gives me joy and meaning. And and that could be different for different people. And also that's a very difficult period, because whatever you have been doing now, that has given you a certain degree of success, that has given you a certain degree of social recognition, that has given you a certain degree of financial freedom. Now suddenly you have to now start from scratch. And hopefully if you have savings, then at least it can keep you going for some time. But this is a very vulnerable period of time. And I recently, a chartered accountant friend of mine had called me, and she was in a job and she's saying that, oh, this doesn't give me meaning, this doesn't give me any joy. What am I doing? Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life just like this? What is the purpose of this? And then, but I don't know what is it I want to do. And then I put her in touch with some group of people who coach people who are undergoing a transition. And so it's very good to have a support system, especially when you're undergoing this transition, where people who have undergone that same journey, can perhaps guide you, perhaps can, handhold you or mentor you or tell you, look, it's going to be okay. And the fact is, we have to face our fears, we have to face our vulnerabilities, we have to face our mm, all those things, because suddenly from becoming somebody, now we become this nobody. We don't know who we are, and I think it's extremely vulnerable when we don't know who we are, because our so-called self identity, our self worth comes from what we do. And supposing if what we do doesn't give us fulfillment, but we don't even know what what will give us fulfillment and who it is that we are, then that makes us very, very vulnerable. And I have experienced that personally. I remember when I was in the phase of being a chartered accountant and wanting to move into corporate training and not really finding any foothold in that. And there was a time when I was without any job for about 7 9 months, and it was extremely vulnerable period of my time. I really didn't know what is it, who I am, what am I supposed to do. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey of um, from being a chartered accountant to get into corporate training, to get into OD consulting, to becoming a yoga teacher, to teaching mindfulness. And now I'm teaching is essentially Advaita, which I use the word Advaita, but it's simply what I'm really teaching is disidentifying from your mind made self and coming into the presence and realizing that freedom and intelligence lies in presence and not in the thinking mind. Now, one may call it Advaita, may call it oneness philosophy. I think it's the same philosophy of oneness. No matter whether you go through the path of Zen, or whether you go through the path of Buddhism, whether you go through the path of Sufism, whether you go through the path of Advaita, it doesn't matter. It's the same essence is the same. So, coming back to our topic about passion and actualizing our potential. So when someone is undergoing a transition, it is quite a vulnerable period of time. When you're exploring what is it that I want to do, because maybe there is not enough finances coming in at that point of time. When you're sort of mm, uncertain, there are many multiple things you like to do, but you're not sure what is it that one thing you want to focus upon. So I think that's a time definitely that one needs to have a support system. One needs to be with a group of people or have somebody who's undergone that journey. That person can play the role of a coach or a mentor, and it helps to be together, because the often there's a sense of isolation, because the people who are in the mainstream will not even understand what you're doing. Why have you left a mainstream job? Why have you left something stable? What are you doing? You're teaching yoga, you're doing this. People, most people will not understand why would a chartered accountant end up teaching spirituality. So it's your own inner personal journey, and the more you move towards to natural self-expression, swabhav, swadharma, authenticity, there is an element that you will move away from the crowd and you will become a little isolated. At least you will feel isolated, because you are no longer pursuing the things what most people seem to be worshipping and pursuing, which is success and money and whatever else. So having a support system is good. And I can share from my own personal experience that yes, it is not easy, but something in the universe supports authenticity. I can share that from my experience. that when you move towards something which is natural to you, it's like the universe, there is a lot of fear, there's a lot of vulnerability, because in the mind, you're moving away from what is known to the unknown. The mind likes to do something and achieve something and show it to the world. Look, I did this, I achieved this, and I have this to show. And then the mind wants some kind of a payback in the form of, oh, recognition. Look, I did this. Hmm. Oh, I achieved this. Because the mind thrives on achievement and recognition. Natural self expression is not so much about an achievement. It's like, um, a lotus is not trying to achieve to be a lotus, it is naturally expressing itself in the form of a lotus. Okay, now others may say, oh, wow, what a beautiful lotus this is. Now, the lotus is not looking for validation from others that, oh, please validate me, what a good lotus I am. Lotus is just being lotus. You appreciate the lotus, fine. It doesn't make so much of a difference to a lotus whether it gets somebody's appreciation or not. Similarly, when you come into your natural self expression, the focus is more on expressing your naturalness rather than seeking the validation of other people, which the mind is constantly accustomed to doing, because the worth of the mind only comes from getting validation from others. And the way to get the validation from others is through achievement orientation, to have some goals, to do this, to show something to the world. Look, I have this, I have this, I've done this. And the mind simply doesn't know any other way to function, which is, mm, set goals, work hard, pursue, and then achieve, and then, and then that the mind gets its energy from that path, which is, mm, doing something really very, very difficult and then achieving it. And it gives a high, but it gives a temporary sort of a high. And if it is not able to do that, then that same high converts into a low. Oh, I am now not good enough. I'm not able to do what I'm said to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So this is the nature of the mind. It either will take you high through achievement orientation, or if you're not able to achieve something, then it takes you low. These are the polarities of the mind. Natural self-expression is not so much to do with achievement. It is not so much to do with lack of achievement. It is simply aligning your attention towards doing something that gives you fulfillment and joy. Now, that fulfillment and joy, if I were to give an example, for me comes from writing articles. Like, I love to write on various topics which sort of catch my attention. And I don't even have like, oh, I must churn out one article a week. Oh, I must write about this. Oh, this is what people in the market are reading now, awareness. So now let me write about this topic so more people will like this. This is the way of the mind. The way of natural self-expression, to see, okay, what is it that seems to be, and natural self-expression is very much in touch with its own authenticity, with something within, and seeing, okay, what is brewing inside, what is it that I feel like writing about. And there's no schedule to the writing. It's like, fine, now something is coming, then I write. In a week I may write 3 articles, or in a week I may not write any one article. And I'll talk about the disciplining part of it also. But the more I'm aligned to my naturalness, the more that creativity comes. And then I am not focusing so much on what will I get out of it. The focus is on that creativity is an end in itself. Like for me, then the natural expression is to write. I posted it on social media. I don't know how many people like my posts or read my posts. Some people comment, some people are regular readers, some people read and never comment. Now I've come to know. So I really don't know. Will I make any money out of it? I really don't know. But talking of money, somehow, at least, again, if I have to share from my own experience, something takes care. I may not be earning whatever, perhaps if I was doing a corporate job, but there's never a day where I didn't have shelter over my head or I didn't have enough food on my plate. My needs have been taken care of. At least I can share that with certainty. So, mostly, I think the struggle is about wanting recognition from others, wanting validation from others. So, now coming to the part about actualizing your fullest potential and the opportunities that are available for one to do, uh, I think, yes, sometimes having external opportunities definitely helps. Like for me, I spent a good amount of my life, 4 to 5 years, with the Yoga Institute. And that was a great opportunity for me to be in a space which really nurtured my gift as a teacher. And but I didn't plan it. That opportunity came about. People say you have to create opportunities. Fine, maybe, but it's also a matter of luck. It's also a matter of grace that some opportunity comes. It's not always in our hands. And then when maybe that journey was over, then now I'm independent. Now I have to work on my own. So even these so-called, I think wherever we are, perhaps, we should just see it as this is the current opportunity. Maybe rather than, the mind projecting, oh, if I don't have enough opportunities, oh, I should have. Right now, whatever we have is this is what it is. Otherwise, the mind is constantly projecting that there's something is missing, something is lacking. And now, given what it is, what is it that I want to do? Hmm. How is it that I want to make use of my time? And it is not so much even an intellectual thing. It's like, I mean, it just like, it's very natural. Like, I mean, what do I say? It's not even a discipline. Like, now it's been 2 years that I've been doing these now. Earlier, they were mindful living class. Now they are with every Monday, Wednesday, Friday without a fail for 2 years, more than 2 years now. I've been doing this. And it's not so much a matter of discipline or I have to do this because I just find this fulfilling. Hence, I do it. It doesn't matter like how many participants are there or not there, whatever, I do it. Similarly, writing. I enjoy writing, so I write and I post it. And then it gives me fulfillment when some people read. Similarly, making videos for YouTube. It just gives me fulfillment. This is my natural expression. So sometimes I think also with the advent of social media, there's so much of opportunity for one to express themselves naturally and put their gift and whatever they have out there in the world. And also I think as far as external opportunities are concerned, they come your way in the time they are meant to come and when they are meant to come. You can't force something to happen before its time. Like for me, I had to perhaps come to Dharamshala at a certain time and then explore opportunities here and then maybe start teaching here a little bit or whatever. It had to happen at the time it had to happen, and that's about it. And supposing if you're not able to use your time constructively, like just do what comes naturally. Supposing you're not able to have external opportunities also, then what does one do? Then yes, it's a good idea to express your energy by going for a really long run. That will make you feel good for some time at least. Oh, come on. I challenged myself. I did something. But I think, okay to be vulnerable. And I think I've made a whole session and a whole video on this. And it's fine to be vulnerable. It is fine to not know. It is fine to feel that, I mean, I want to express myself, but I don't know how and what's the opportunity for me, how I can express myself. Or I want to express myself, but it's sometimes, you want to express yourself, but sometimes it's not even coming. It's not like creativity is not like on tap. You just switch on the tap and it'll come. Sometimes you want to, but it's not happening. So one needs to also learn to be comfortable with being vulnerable. And that is very much a part of the human journey. We always want to be in control. We always want to like be in that state of constant mm, achievement, recognition, validation mode. Part of that journey from moving from the mind's way of functioning towards um, your natural self-expression is there's a whole, maybe a whole passage one has to go through of vulnerability. And there is never a time, maybe over a period of time, you will overcome a lot of your vulnerability, but one needs to acknowledge that there is vulnerability, that maybe I want to do something, I really don't know what I want to do. Maybe I know what I want to do, but there doesn't seem to be enough opportunity for me to express myself. Maybe I still can make best use of my time, but something in me is not allowing me to make best use of my time. I seem to be wasting my time and I'm doing endless things, even though I want to do it. All this is a cause for vulnerability. Then be with that vulnerability. What can be done? Just be present to that vulnerability. Hmm. So uh, there is no like one answer to this. I'm not like a motivational coach. I'm not an inspirational coach. I am not a person who offers time management, efficiency, productivity tips. I'm not the person. There are many people who do that. I'm not the person for that. I think what I'm trying to communicate is that with greater awareness, we get in touch with what is authentic to us. With greater awareness, we move closer to expressing that authenticity through us. With greater awareness, we are able to be vulnerable when we are transitioning from inauthenticity to authenticity. And with greater awareness, we begin to find joy in the small ways that we can express inside ourselves without wanting to get uh, external recognition and validation and whatever else. And with greater awareness, we begin to sort of have more faith, more trust in just being present. And I think the maximum time when you want to have that faith and trust is when you're feeling vulnerable. Fine, be vulnerable. Whatever that vulnerability is, it's making you feel um, like you can't breathe. You're feeling churning in the stomach. Maybe you're feeling butterflies, whatever. Just be with it. Just be with that vulnerability. And then yet do whatever you can do in like in the natural mode of things. So, you know, how can one actualize, or the word how actually presupposes that there's a formula, that someone has a formula and then that person can give you a formula and then you can apply that formula and then you can. That's not really how it works. All I can say is just simply be with what is. If there is vulnerability, be with vulnerability. If there is a natural urge to express, then be with that natural urge to express. So the discipline, now coming to discipline, that comes out of natural expression is more sustainable. Now, this is what I want to say. Like a rose doesn't have to discipline itself to be and smell like a rose. Its natural expression is to be a rose. So, hence, that discipline of being a rose is sustainable. Similarly, I don't have to discipline myself to write something or to make a video on spirituality or awareness or the philosophy of Advaita. I don't have to discipline myself to conduct classes on these. It just gives me joy and meaning, and it's natural to us. It fulfills me. It is my natural essence. It is my Swabhava. It is my Swadharma. Hence, it is sustainable. There's no discipline required around it. Mhm. There may be vulnerabilities. I may not know, okay, where maybe some vulnerability related to finances, maybe some vulnerability, maybe um, there are participants in the class or not, or whatever. But those vulnerabilities are also opportunities for looking into the mind, and then how the mind is seeking validation from number of people attending the class, number of people, or the amount of money that I'm making. Because primarily, this is what the mind gets its self worth from. Otherwise, what's the problem? The problem is not so much anything else. The problem is how much am I recognized for what I'm doing? Or the problem could be how much money I'm making out of what I'm doing. So one learns to deal with these vulnerabilities by shining the torch of awareness on these vulnerabilities and yet continuing to do what one has to do. So, um, so it's a journey. I think that's what I can share. It is not, um, it is not like that. It's going to unfold in one. It's like a button that suddenly everything will. You will find that right thing, and everything will fall into place. And it's a constantly unfolding journey. Um, I don't know. Is there ever a time when you can say, "Oh, now I'm settled. Now I've got my classes and I'm making enough money and I think it's a constantly ongoing journey. If I look at my journey from where I was to chartered accountancy to what I'm doing, it's been such a journey. And maybe the journey is continuing. I don't know. But it's such a journey from where I was to, and a, a very important part of the journey is learning to be vulnerable and embrace vulnerability, which means not knowing what the future is going to bring, what not knowing what is it that I want to do, not knowing um, whether where am I going, means in terms of certainty, perhaps feeling that there's lack of any opportunity for me. Maybe I don't have the right place. I don't have the right setup or environment that can nurture me. There are many things that are not in our control. But all I can say with certainty that if we can embrace and accept uncertainty, it, the journey continues. It doesn't stop. Something or the other keeps unfolding, and just do the best we can in a given situation. That's about it. So I don't know if this helps anyone who is on the journey of finding their true natural self-expression, or maybe if somebody's in the middle of that journey, or somebody's in that stage where they're trying to find how they can actualize the full potential. But I'm open to feedback, sharing. If you have anything, you can write to me, you can share in the comments, and I can talk more about, I can share more about this. And like I said, there is no ultimate one single answer it's one has to undergo a journey, and every step of the journey, I think the more we can come into awareness, I think that's really one of the things I keep emphasizing at the end of every of my talks is the answer doesn't lie in the mind. The problem is really the mind. And the mind is creating the problem and is finding the question and is trying to find seek a solution. This is not really the space for resolution. The place for resolution is, I wouldn't even say heart, I'm just pointing here. The space for resolution is presence, awareness, silence. The more we come into presence, awareness, silence, this presence, awareness, silence brings about inner change, inner transformation without we trying to do something about it. It happens by itself. And perhaps that presence, silence, uh, and awareness also brings about transformation in our external circumstances. I really don't know how it happens, but I feel that's how it is. So the focus has to be more on presence, silence, and awareness rather than trying to find a solution to our problems through our mind, because the problem to our mind is the cause of our problem is the mind and its inability to accept what's the current moment. It projects a certain kind of a future, and it wants to have a certain kind of a future, and that future is not here right now, and hence it feels what it feels. Okay, so with that, we end this particular session. I don't know what I would probably title this, finding your passion, but maybe a better word is aligning yourself to your natural swabhava, your natural swadharma, and learning to just be with what is. The closer you come to your natural self, which is presence, awareness, consciousness, different words, the more the silence, presence, and awareness begins to express itself in its own way. And also, the silence, presence, and awareness also, I don't know how do I say it, helps us to contain and be with our vulnerability. Rather than that vulnerability and the fear and the anxiety making us do certain things and wanting to seek a solution and find a formula or something, just learning to just be with what is, and then things begin to unfold naturally. Okay, so with that, let's end this session and with a small prayer. Let's take a deep breath in, close our eyes if you wish. My dear higher self, help me to get in touch with what is natural to this body and this mind, to the natural swabhava and swadharma of this body and this mind, to the authentic self-expression of this body and this mind. Help me to deal with the vulnerabilities through awareness, presence, silence, as I undergo this journey from the conditioned mind of success, social recognition, financial security, towards expressing my true self based on my natural gifts, talents, creativity, expression. I seek your grace and guidance to realize my true expression and my true self. Om Shanti. Okay, so with that, we end today's session. I'll see you all in the next session. Goodbye, God bless, and take care.